Last episode, we looked at specific things you can do to practice the technical side of photography. We're also going to talk about how you practice the aesthetic or artistic side of things, but I've got one more technical thing that I want you to work on. This is a beginner exercise, so you may not need it. If you don't, go watch some cat videos or something while we do this and then come back for the next episode. I'm giving this one exercise its own episode because in the classroom I regularly see beginning and even intermediate students who don't have a handle on the effect of focal length and camera position. So we're hitting that hard over the next few minutes. Grab your camera and a zoom lens or your camera and a couple of primes of different lengths and head outside. You're going to practice your understanding of the effect of camera position and focal length. This is a great thing to get your head around because changing where you stand and the corresponding focal length allows you to change the shape of objects in your scene, their size relative to one another, and their proportions. So what you need to do is find two things or marks on the ground. Here's an example where I found these two paint splatters. I zoomed in and then positioned myself so that I could frame this shot. I wanted the white splatter at the bottom of the frame, and I wanted the red plant to touch the top of the frame. I wasn't considering anything else, and I wasn't worried about depth of field control. I set the camera for f11 to give me reasonably deep depth of field. Then I took the shot. Then I zoomed out as far as I could, and I moved much closer so that I could frame the same shot. That is, another shot with the white stain at the bottom and the red plant at the top. That looked like this. Obviously, a lot has changed here. For the moment, ignore how the shape of the alley has changed and just look at the two stains. When I was far away but zoomed in, the white shape was much shorter and the two stains appear much closer together. When I zoomed out and walked closer, and I had to walk closer to set up the same composition, the white stain got stretched and the two shapes looked farther apart. This is what I mean when I say you can change the shape and relationship of things in the frame. Now look at the red plant. It appears closer or farther. The length of the alley appears to change. The angle of the curbs and the overall extreme sense of perspective changes. This is the power of focal length and position. So go play with that. And do more than just shoot at the extremes. See how much you can change the position and shapes of your two objects without introducing such dramatic change in the overall scene. You do that by making smaller movements and focal length changes. This is also a great exercise to do with a portrait subject because your model will distort and stretch in the same way, and it's important that you know that. This is up close with a wide angle, and this is farther away with a telephoto. I'm not saying one is better than the other, but you can't deny that they're different. I actually think this one might be more reflective of his character. Look at the change in the distance between his ear and his nose. Also, note the clock behind him. Big changes in results from nothing more than changing camera position and focal length. I promise that the topics in this series are not going to be limited to rudiments. I'm just trying to ensure that some basics are understood before we move on to some more complicated practice, and that is going to start next time.